It's time for number 42 in my series of video game movie reviews, with a zombie game adaptation that begs the question, what if there was a cure and would you take it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now there is, with Zombrex. Now works 24 hours. Ah! Dead Rising: Watchtower is brought to us by director Zach Lewowski and stars Jesse Metcalfe and Megan Ory. When another zombie outbreak breaks out in East Mission, Oregon. Is that a real place? Entrepreneuring hotshot reporter Chase Carter, played by Jesse Metcalfe, is on the scene. It seems that Zombrex, the once-a-day injection zombie cure that so many people have been taking for so long to fiend off the zombie curse, has stopped working, and now there's another big zombie outbreak in the city. And it's up to Chase Carter and a few other survivors to figure out what the hell's going on. Chase comes across a survivor, Crystal, played by Megan Ory, who might be the key to the whole thing. So he has to race against the clock to get her outside of the city before the military firebombs the whole thing in a few hours. All along the way, battling zombies, motorcycle psychopaths, and possibly a scandalous conspiracy. Dead Rising: Watchtower is based on the Dead Rising video game series, which are basically open-world zombie sandbox games. The crux of the game is pretty much going around and finding very creative ways to kill the shit out of a whole bunch of zombies, while also trying to escape whatever city it is that you're trapped in whichever game it is. It's a fairly simple premise, but at the same time a really fun premise in most cases. And Dead Rising: Watchtower does keep in line with a lot of the themes from the games. It's got convoluted conspiracies, insane psychopaths, over-the-top creative, insane ways of killing things, a whole lot of gore, and of course, zombies. I'd never seen this movie upon going in to watch it. I think I may have heard mention of it a few years back, but I've never really heard much about it. If I ever did know that it existed, I had more or less ejected that knowledge from my head, because this was 100% a total blind watch. I knew nothing about this movie except for the game series that it's based on. I am a big fan of the game series. I've played all of them extensively and had a great time doing it. But seeing as how I'd heard pretty much nothing at all about this movie, I figured what I was gonna get was probably not the greatest time ever. And the movie kinda just jumps right into it from the get-go. Within the first 5 minutes of this movie, you know exactly what you're gonna get. And if that's not your thing, then you are probably not gonna like this movie. However, if you like that first 5 minutes, you are probably gonna have a really good fucking time with this movie. I was really surprised how much I was enjoying this movie as it kept going on. I kept expecting it to just kind of go off the rails and lose me, but it never really did. I had a really good time with Dead Rising: Watchtower. Now, this is no masterpiece or anything, but it is a lot better and a whole lot higher quality than I was ever expecting. The story fits right in line with a Dead Rising story. It's got ridiculous, over-the-top government conspiracy theories that all tie to this zombie outbreak, with a hard-hitting reporter there to tell the world the truth. The tone of the movie is very much in line with the games as well. The games all had this melodramatic, kind of over-the-top, yet light-hearted tone. It plays these conspiracy theories it puts out there really serious, but it kind of does it in a bit of a goofy way. The games have a real goofy sense of humor, and that tone actually translates over to this movie. They did a really good job with taking that Dead Rising feel and putting it in this movie. Down to the weapons they use. The weapons in Dead Rising, while really cool, are just fucking ridiculous. And some of them have appearances in this movie. I mean, it's stupid shit, like a trash can lid with a weed eater motor on it and like some blades sticking out the other side that they all put together with fucking duct tape, and then when they go out into like a whole bunch of zombies, they crank it on and it starts spinning and just cutting shit up. I mean, it is ridiculous and over the top, and the movie kind of sort of acknowledges that fact. The movie knows it's ridiculous, but it just kind of goes with it. It says, hey, you know what? I know this is stupid, it's ridiculous, and it's over the top, but if you don't like that, then this is probably not the movie for you. And I really liked how the movie just committed to that. It didn't say, well, you know, that was in the game, and that's a little bit too much for the movie. We're not gonna do that, because that is a central part of the game series. Not just the weapons and stuff, but just kind of like the out-of-nowhere, over-the-top nature of some of the aspects of the game. And I really like like that they totally unabashedly just kept that in the movie. It's never too much either. For the most part, the movie's played fairly straight, but every now and then you get kind of this off-the-wall, off-kilter humor that does come directly from the games. However, it's a humor that even if you've never played the games, I think that you can get and have a good time with. But if you are a fan of the games, you'll have an even greater appreciation for these little nods here or there. Yes, the story and tone are pretty ridiculous, but they're still a good time. Ridiculous doesn't mean it can't be entertaining, and Dead Rising Watchtower's story is absolutely entertaining. Not a bit out there and ridiculous at times. Now, something else that kind of impressed me here was the performances. Now, we're not talking Oscar caliber work here, but we are talking pretty solid performances, especially given the material. Everybody here is having a really good time with this over-the-top, goofy premise. And we've got some fairly well-known and well-respected names here given these performances. There's the aforementioned Jesse Matcliffe and Megan Ory, but we also get Virginia Madsen, Rob Riggle, and Mr. Allstate himself, Dennis Haysbert. I mean, really, every time this guy showed up on screen as the general, I just kept waiting for him to say, "And with Allstate, you're in good hands." I can't be alone there. There's no real bad performances here. Everything's fairly solid. Everybody's given a performance that fits within the movie that they're in. That doesn't mean that the performances are all goofy or anything. In fact, they're a whole lot more solid than I was ever expecting. But it does mean that they know the movie that they're in, and it seems like they're all having a really good time with it. And overall, solid performances. Now, something else about a movie like this that I've never really heard of, and it's been out for a really long time, and I feel like it's in a genre that I should have already heard about it, is the way that it looks. I'm always afraid that means that it's probably going to be kind of a low quality looking movie, but not Dead Rising Watchtower. This is a quality looking film. It truly does look like there was money behind this movie, all the way down to just the basic way that the movie looks. I mean, this is a very competently shot film. Now, where the movie truly shines technically is in its special effects. There's some really good looking effects here, especially on the practical side of things. The look of the zombies, the locations, the aforementioned crazy over the top weaponry that they use. All of it looks really nice, and it all looks really good in action too. And then there's the gore, and they did not disappoint there. The gore in this movie, much like the games, is pretty over the top, and it all looks really good. You've got limbs going all over the place, real jacked up, nasty looking zombies, and just blood fucking everywhere. A whole lot of this is done practically, and all of that looks great. We do get a few CGI shots, and they honestly don't look too bad. Now, they do stick out from the practical work, of course, but they're not rampant. It's not like too much CGI in the movie. It seems like stuff that kind of made sense for that part of the movie. But the vast majority of what I saw, or at least what I could tell, seemed like it was practical. Overall, the effects as a whole are very well done, and those of you that like over-the-top geysers of gore will find something to really enjoy here. This movie did a really good job overall of keeping in line with the feel and tone of the series that it was based on. But the most important thing that it took away from that series was the fun factor. This movie is just really fun. It's not perfect and it has its issues, but this movie is absolutely fun. I had a really good time with it. Something else that doesn't really add a whole lot to the narrative of the movie, but I really enjoyed, was the little inserts throughout the movie. For just a couple of minutes, they'll have Frank West, the protagonist from the original game, on a news show talking about the events that are happening in East Mission, and also talking about his experience in the original zombie outbreak. Rob Riggle as Frank West and Carrie Giselle as the reporter are some of the best parts of this movie. These are some funny ass scenes. They're not necessarily needed for the story, but they are absolutely essential to the goofy over the top tone of this movie. It's one of those situations where you're given something that's not really central to the story, nor does it move anything forward, but the movie absolutely would be less without it. At the end of the day, guys, I was really surprised with Dead Rising Watchtower. It's got some solid performances, a fun story, and some solid effects. Overall, it's just a pretty solid movie. It may not be at the top of the video game movie list, and it might not be worth running out and buying, but if you're just looking for a fun zombie movie for the night, then Dead Rising Watchtower is absolutely worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
I really expected this movie to suck, and I was all the more surprised when not only did it not suck, but it was actually pretty good. If you like over-the-top gore and goofy stories that don't totally take themselves too seriously, then check out Dead Rising Watchtower one night, and I think you'll have a really good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of Dead Rising Watchtower. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Willamette.
Zombie outbreak here.
Yes, but what does that mean?
It means you're basically
The one thing this movie did actually give me was after all these years, it finally gave me a reason to break out my Dead Rising 2 Special Zombrex Edition. This thing's like 10 years old now, and it's just been like sitting on a shelf with a bunch of other special edition memorabilia I've got. But it came with like this Zombrex applicator box that's just like the ones in the movie, but this was out quite a while before the movie. It's even got like a little injection pen thing. You can use it to write and stuff like that. There's some other stuff in here too, but you know what? This thing's just been sitting there collecting dust, and finally, after 10 years, I found a use for it. So, ha! Buying all those special editions does actually have a purpose. I'm gonna go put this back on my bookshelf now.